Welcome to Real Talk for Real Life, where we're realizing everyone is always learning and living your full experience. I'm your host, Coach C, and this is Season 5, Episode 5. Turns out I'm tied up and twisted in this. We're continuing the conversation in Season 5, discussing being made in the middle. And today's episode is called Turns Out I'm Tied Up and Twisted in This. Have you ever stopped long enough to realize I'm all tangled up? Maybe it's life, maybe it's stress, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's expectations, maybe it's fear, maybe it's your own thoughts. However, you got there, you're stuck. A few years ago, the word entanglement became part of just about everybody's vocabulary because of a celebrity interview. Folks joked about it, turned it into memes, and laughed about it. But here's the thing, that word didn't start there. Truthfully, every one of us has experienced an entanglement, not necessarily in a relationship, but somewhere in life. We get tangled up in our past, tangled up in what people think, tangled up in regret, tangled up in trying to make everyone else happy, tangled up in debt, tangled up in fear, tangled up in perfection, tangled up in trying to control everything. The interesting part is entanglements rarely happen overnight. Nobody wakes up one morning completely wrapped up. It happens one strand at a time, one compromise, one unhealthy habit, one postponed conversation, one unforgiven offense, one bad decision, one limiting belief. Before long, you're tied up, twisted up, walking in circles, trying to find your way through what feels like a maze. And here's what makes it even harder. And when you're in the middle of the maze, every direction starts looking like the right direction. That's why we become exhausted. We're moving, but we're not making progress. Can I encourage you today? Sometimes freedom doesn't begin by finding a new exit. It begins by identifying what's been tying you up all along. Maybe it isn't your job. Maybe it isn't your relationship. Maybe it isn't your circumstances. Maybe it's the fear you've been carrying. Maybe it's unforgiveness. Maybe it's pride. Maybe it's comparison. Maybe it's believing you're not enough. Whatever it is, you can't untangle what you're unwilling to acknowledge. Healing begins with honesty. Growth begins with awareness. Freedom begins with truth. The beautiful thing about being made in the middle is this: the middle doesn't just reveal your strengths, sometimes it reveals your knots. And that's a gift because what gets revealed can finally be released. So don't be ashamed of what you've discovered. Celebrate it because awareness is the first step toward freedom. Here's your fearless homework. This week, finish this sentence honestly. Turns out I'm tied up and twisted in. Write whatever comes to mind. No filters, no pretending, no judgment. Then answer these three questions. One, how did I become tangled in this? Two, what has staying tangled cost me? Three, what's one step I can take this week to begin untangling myself? Finally, write this declaration: I refuse to stay tied to what I've been called to leave behind. Remember, You don't have to untangle your entire life today. Just loosen one knot, then another, then another. Eventually, what once held you captive becomes part of the story of how you found your freedom. Until next time, live fearless, keep learning, keep living. This is Real Talk for Real Life, where we're realizing everyone is always learning and living your full experience. Make sure you're following me on Instagram and Facebook at Real Talk for Real Life. That's L.Y.F.E for more inspiration, merchandise, and motivation between episodes. This is Coach C. I'll see you in the next one.